What's up, guys? Welcome into another edition of Dane Does. Dane Richardson alongside Kent State Director of Pitching Development, Cade McClure, and Kent State right-hander, Ben Rabatin. They're gonna show me what it's like on the everyday to be a Division I pitcher. Probably tire out my left arm a little bit. Guys, ready to go?
Absolutely. For the pre-stretch, always gotta start with the hammy scoops. Nothing better than getting these hamstrings loose early in the morning.
Now, Ben, how much different is it when you went into college than, say, high school in terms of your pre-throwing routine, all that type of stuff?
Do quad pulls. Coming out of high school as a starter, so having to adjust to the bullpen definitely adjusted to how quickly I needed to get ready. So had to learn how to get hot quick on the fly.
Being in the bullpen a little bit more, has that seen an uptick in velocity where you know you're going shorter innings so you can throw a little bit harder?
Yeah, for sure. As a starter, you kind of have to even it out throughout your innings. You got to be strong innings 1 through 7 or 9, however long you're going. A little quick jog down and back will be good.
All right.
So we'll kind of do a little bit of a progression here. It's a little bit of balance stuff. So Ben's gonna go out on his front leg. Ben just finished throwing a pitch. He's gonna go out on his front leg and he's gonna do some water back shifts. So he's going side to side, transferring the weight, working on balance, stability, core, working from the ankle up. Really just focusing on landing on finishing that pitch. We always want to focus on finishing forward towards our target, not peeling off left or right.
Now, how often do these guys do this every single week? And I'm struggling to keep my balance here, but.
Yeah, so pre-practice every day. Each guy's kind of has their own pre-throw routine. Some guys need more balance work than others. Some guys need more this than that. So it's kind of based on whatever you feel like you need to get yourself ready to throw. So some guys like Ben may use this on a daily basis. Some guys like Rocco or Jake Bean or whoever may only use it once a week.
How important is balance for pitchers?
It's huge from the aspect of repeating mechanics, delivery. If you think about it, if you're not able to repeat, step 1 through 3, 4, 5, however you want to break it down, your delivery may be different, the ball coming out of your hand may be different from pitch to pitch, and ultimately your ability to throw strikes on a consistent basis will be altered.
These water bags, is this something new that people have introduced? How long have sort of this been a technique for pitchers?
Yeah, it's kind of filtered in the new wave of training in the last couple of years. It adds total body stability. You're adding core strength. You're adding shoulder activations, all that good stuff. So it's unpredictable, which is a nice part in the sense of the water is uncontrollable. Where if you have a dumbbell, you know where it's going to be and how it's going to feel. Where these ones are just adding another element into all that.
We're good.
Right, we'll move on to our next one here. So Ben is going to lift. As he rotates open, he's going to punch. He's going to reset. As he opens closed, he's going to punch back in the opposite direction. So you're activating your shoulders, your core, again, focusing on balance. Then you're adding a movement into that as well. So it's kind of a total overall body, pre-throw activation type exercise.
It seems like there's so much of an emphasis on velocity today. How do you try and manage guys so you're not overworking them? Because I know Tommy John is a lot more prevalent now with pitchers nowadays than it was, say, 10, 20 years ago.
The name of the game is still getting outs, putting zeros on the board and getting more zeros than the other team. You kind of have to walk that fine line of we're chasing velocity, we're chasing shape and spin and all that good stuff with breaking pitches. But, from a safety standpoint, kind of knowing your body's workloads, your limitations, and kind of going from there.
Let's give this a try.
Set as you're facing first base, you're going to lift, you're going to kind of gate that front hip a little bit, and as your gate comes, you punch. Yep.
Ooh.
Same thing, and then you rotate towards second base, bring that leg. For a balance standpoint, try lifting your knee to about 90 degrees.
Okay.
So your counter movement is a little easier.
We're trying to keep our balance. It makes me appreciate some of the pitchers are athletes too, aren't they?
That's a fact. I mean, I've been saying it for years.
What we saw Jake Bean do a couple weeks ago, that probably should have been on SportsCenter Top 10, hopping off the mound like that.
Incredible. And in the position, players will argue if you just would have caught it the first time, you wouldn't have had to do that. But guess what? The play was made, the out was made ultimately.
Now, Ben has some experience, but is there an adjustment period when you see some first-year guys come in that aren't necessarily used to doing these exercises, and sometimes you have to fix their mechanics a little bit?
Yeah, I just got done playing myself, and this was kind of a wave in the last maybe 3 or 4 years that started trickling into pro ball. Doing it as a pro. It was a learning curve for sure, but it just really teaches total body stability, and you could really even use these for weight room techniques and doing different things like that for stability and core strength and control.
One more big
You're going to take one step backwards, so your momentum shifts back. You're going to lift up right into it like you're throwing a pitch, punch, and finish.
Do I want that back leg to swing forward a little bit or no?
Yeah, so as long as you're finishing right towards home plate, right, you're finishing towards your target, your shoulders are finishing square with your catcher and not peeling towards first. or towards third, you're working in the right direction. Yep.
You know, Cade told me a little bit before we started shooting this, he was a little worried about my shoulder hurting so much tomorrow. Honestly, I told him, if it hurts tomorrow, it's worth it. It's good for the camera.
There's always pro tryouts, you know, you could always give it a shot. All right, so this final boss here, this is our backpack water bag. Same thing, this one's probably somewhere between 8 to 10 pounds of water weight. So as you can see, you need, again, body strength, body stability. As you lean in either direction, this water is gonna totally pull you. So we're working on keeping our top half controlled and square. He's gonna lift up, hold nice and tall, and then he's just gonna finish with an upper half movement. Using that water bag to help him feel that weight transfer from that backside, pulling down, that same similar chop movement that we just did there with that circle ball. Good.
Now, is a consistent delivery the first thing you try and focus on before you're talking about control and velocity, or does it depend on pitcher to pitcher?
I do a lot of lessons with young kids too, and I try to tell parents, and I try to tell them at the young age, man, if you can clean up mechanics and you can clean up body movement and direction at age 9, 10, 11, 12, it's going to be a lot easier to combat the issues going forward with release point and things like that, versus when you're 15 and you come up and you're like, man, I'm having a hard time lower half mechanics. Well, it's like, let's take a look at your balance, and you can't stand on one foot for more than 2-3 seconds and you're falling all over the place. That's where the underlying issue most likely comes from. I played with Paul Skeens this past year when I was with the Pirates, and he was a huge advocate for a lot of this stuff, so he was really cool just kind of see. I got a good opportunity to see Paul kind of do it in a lot of his stuff too. So first one we'll do, I'll just have you stand up on your back foot like you're gonna throw a pitch, and just lift and hold for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds, find that balance.
Ooh, interesting.
There you go, right? So now you can feel that weight's all shifted to your back shoulder, right?
Yep.
Try to feel yourself come to the middle of your body without losing your balance. Again, try to work that knee up to like a 90-degree angle so your counterbalance is pretty good. All right, so if you feel comfortable enough, just do like what we call a dry rep. So kind of what Ben was doing, just finishing through. You can use your arm if you want, but it's all about that shoulder rotation and sticking that landing. There you go. You'll finish it out. There you go. Whew.
It's harder than it looks, folks. So it looks like these are some weighted balls right here, and what's Ben gonna be doing?
Yeah, so we like to use a different series of weighted balls to kind of warm up our shoulder. It's a shoulder strengthening program, as well as people call it a velocity program or things of that nature. But our end game, right, is making sure Ben's shoulder, elbow, all that good stuff is healthy and safe to continue to throw throughout the course of a long season. So some of these guys like to use a few of these drills. So the first one we'll do is just a reverse throw. So just working on some of the muscles in the front of our shoulder, stabilizing. So Ben is just gonna come to a knee, he's gonna reverse throw it backwards, and then pulling it right back towards that wall. So if you wanna think about it, if you threw your arm path and there's a perfect tunnel, you just recreate your arm path in a backwards position, going right towards that wall. Yep, and then he's just gonna pull it right back, kind of going that way. So we always like to focus on a lot of our stuff in the back of our shoulder, but this is a good opportunity for us to focus on that small little muscles in the front of our shoulder here.
Now, have you seen this, Cade? Have you seen this shoulder strengthening program? Have you seen this translate to better velocity for a lot of guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think the main goal is more an arm care, an arm safety type thing more than anything. If your velocity peaks, great. It's more about safety and making sure Ben is available when needed.
Now, do I want to like throw this backwards as hard as I can, or is it
you can kind of work into it.
Okay.
Good. I'm gonna have Ben just do some what we call pivot pick throws. So Ben is gonna come to the wall here. He's gonna load, he's gonna use his feet, he's gonna rotate open, so being rotational through our core, loading our shoulder, and he's just gonna finish out with a throw right towards that wall, as if you're throwing towards second base, a pivot pick towards second. Yep. And he's gonna finish right out towards second base. So using your legs, using your hips, being rotational. Good.
Now, how do you decide which weighted ball to use? Is it for that previous exercise, is it always this one, or do we use different ones depending on what pitcher?
It depends on strength, it depends on the time of the year. From a safety standpoint, that really heavy gray one, we really try not to do any overhead throwing with it. It's more about shoulder activation and things of that nature. I really try to keep it about that. Red ball should be about 7 ounces. 7 ounces and down is what we feel comfortable throwing. Anything more than that, a baseball's 5. So somewhere in that kind of close window. Yep. And if you want to think about throwing it about like chest to face height, if you're not working on taking your shoulder and going too far towards the ground. We'll go to a normal baseball weight here. So Ben will hop into what we call a stride position or a rocker position. So Ben is loaded like he just landed from a lift. down to a ready throw position. So all I'm gonna have Ben do is just come set. He's gonna rock forward. He's gonna feel his body weight transfer to his front leg. He's gonna load back and he's gonna get a little lift. So he's gonna rock forward, little lift, and then just finish out with a nice easy throw, just activating the lower half, activating the shoulder. Yep, good.
Here's a tough question for you. We'll go a little superlative as Ben keeps being a fantastic example here. Who has the nastiest pitch on the Kent State team right now?
That's tough because some guys fastballs do some crazy stuff, some guys off speed do some crazy stuff.
I can make it easier. I'll go nastiest pitch for a lefty
Okay.
and nastiest pitch for a righty on the staff.
Lefty, Peyton Carrico changeup is pretty deadly. I will say a Jaden Varder slider is another very deadly pitch. From a right-handed standpoint, when Ben's slider is moving, he's got a really good, what we call a sweeper. So it's more of a horizontal slider type pitch versus a more vertical type pitch. Ben's is really good. Jake Bean has a really good spike changeup, spike slider as well. So there's a good mix of some good stuff from different guys, but I don't know if I could pick one.
Now, you just mentioned sweeper, there's slurve, curveball, slider, there's a lot of different terms. You're a pitching guy. Clarify that for the people at home. I know you just mentioned it, but a slider, a curveball, and a sweeper, what is the difference? Because a lot of people see that, let's say they're watching a Major League Baseball game and they see sweeper and they're like, how is that different from a curveball and a slider? They think it moves the same way.
Yeah, in the world of pitch design, in the more recent world, it's all about the metrics, right? So there's a difference between the horizontal break and the vertical break on different pitches. So it can be classified based on what those metrics become. So a lot of times guys will go in saying, hey, I want to take my slider and make it become more horizontal. So that becomes a point of changing grips, changing a little bit of arm action, and all that little bit can do is go from a curveball slider kind of in this window to turning it completely sideways, or taking your slurvy kind of curveball and you want to make it more top to bottom. You change grips, you change arm action a little bit, and you can get it to the more of that 12-6 kind of type situation. I think probably like for an older generation, it would be like the action would be the correct term. They like to use the word shape now. You're creating a different shape with that pitch. It used to be the word action. So yeah, it really just depends. But yeah, the sweeper seems to be the big pitch in baseball right now. I know, again, referencing Paul again, Paul's been a huge advocate for all these different pitches and what he's able to do. But at the end of the day, Paul throws a lot of strikes and he throws 100. So that's probably a huge factor in his success. But yeah, the pitch design, the pitch shape world is crazy right now.
It's interesting to hear. We'll try out this last exercise and hopefully we can start playing catch a little bit.
Yep, widen your legs a little bit. Yeah, you're gonna rock forward as you rock back. You're gonna lift into your back leg a little bit, and yep. And now you can see where that whole balance kind of thing comes from, right? So if we're unable to maintain our balance and our body control as we bleed it into throwing, that's where you're gonna find yourself running into some issues. So making sure your weight's back, yep, and finish. Do you know what a white baseball is called?
I do not.
It is called a pearl.
Why is it called? Just because it's shiny?
When you open a shell, you see a white looking round thing on a necklace, it's a pearl. I'm gonna give you a pearl.
I have heard from guys on the team that you are probably one of the funniest guys in the clubhouse. Can you, is that true?
Can confirm.
Can confirm?
And I can nor confirm or deny those actions. So I'm just here to do my job.
A man of few words today, but he knows a lot about pitching. Cade McClure. All right, let's play some catch,
good.
Ben.
All right, so first one, we'll just do some nice and easy wrist flips. So you'll stack up your arm here nice and tall, and we're just gonna roll it off just like you're flicking a dart. Good, I'm gonna have Ben back up a little bit. We'll just jump right into what we call 10 toes. So 10 toes will be facing towards my partner. I have a good wide base in my legs. I'm gonna sit in my legs a little bit. As I go to throw to Ben, I'm gonna rotate using my top half, like a lot of those drills being rotational. I'm gonna use my glove arm to pull me through. I'm gonna finish it just right at Ben's chest.
How long do guys go through this type of catch routine? Is this an everyday thing? Because I know there's long toss. Tell me a little bit about the catch routine compared to, say, working with water bags or weighted balls.
And you kind of touched on it a little bit. It's different for everyone. Relievers and starters probably have a little bit of a different plan. For example, Ben is a reliever at this current juncture. Ben's got to be ready to pitch every night. So Ben may not want a long toss, and what we say, use the term, would be like save the bullets, right? So if Ben, nice catch. When Ben gets out to a certain distance, Ben probably knows, hey man, if I need to be ready to throw tonight, I don't want to be going too crazy. I'm gonna close it back in. Where starters maybe have a little bit longer time in between outings, and they have the ability to get into that long toss period as well. So rotate. I'm gonna throw it to you, Ben. Here, back, rotate, and just finish it out using our body control and our direction. Okay. So no step here. Just rotate through your top half. Good.
Ben, do you have a specific catch partner that you're always with every day?
When Gavin Jones isn't starting, Gavin Jones.
Gavin Jones, interesting. So what have you seen from Gavin throughout the season? Do you guys try and learn off each other a little bit? I know Gavin's been your Friday night guy.
Yeah, definitely learn off of each other. We definitely have similar philosophies in terms of throwing, and we can each identify each other's mistakes to keep us sharp.
Tell me, you have similar philosophies. What is that philosophy?
Throw hard and throw often.
Throw hard, throw often, very simple. Is that something you like to do? You like to keep it simple when you're out in the mound, not think about too much?
Yeah.
Or is that something that Kate emphasizes as well?
Kind of something I just grew up with. The more simple that it is, the more simple it's going to be. If you think too much, your thoughts are just going to be everywhere, and you got to be focused on that one direct target.
Now, when at your point in your high school career, or even before that, did you know that, hey, I could be a Division I pitcher?
Kind of around my sophomore year, saw a tick of velocity jump. Definitely a big one. Once I started seeing that, my freshman year was my COVID year. So my varsity sophomore season, I definitely knew that playing Division I baseball could be an opportunity for me.
Good. And then last one we'll do is just have Ben take one more step back, and all we're going to do is we call these like dry reps or game reps. So you're kind of be going game speed a little bit. All we're going to do is lift under control, lift and throw a pitch just like I'm throwing to a catcher.
Now, I know you're throwing soft to me, you're being accurate right now. Do you try and up the velocity a little bit more in catch when you're playing with Gavin, Ben?
Yeah, 100%.
Out of 100%, what are you usually going here?
With Gavin, I'll get close to 90%, 100% most days.
Now, how many miles per hour is that?
Most days be right around 90 miles an hour.
You know, I'm glad you're not throwing 90 miles an hour at me. I'm not sure I would be able to hold that in.
Take it to the mound, finish it up. We'll jump into our last segment of our little bit of a bullpen here.
Next question, who is the biggest pitching nerd on the team? Ben already gave me his answer, but I want to see if yours matches up.
I think he's about 17 inches to my right.
Wow, how about that? He goes with Ben. Ben did not say himself.
Ben is definitely in the mix. Ben has been one of my favorite people to talk to about in terms of getting all of our data involved. You know, learning different spins and actions, and wanting to dive into video and you know, metrics and things like that in a healthy way, learning, you know, what he can get better at and things like that after outings. And he's consistently, you know, keeping up with me and wanting to know what he can do to get better and things like that. So I'm crazy Ben didn't say Ben, but Ben's modest, so Ben would be my answer.
Tell Cade, who was your answer?
Rudy Krzyzak.
Krzyzak is another good answer. But I think I still hear from Ben a little more often.
Okay, let's throw from the mound a little bit and see how this works out.
Sounds good. I'm gonna have Ben head down to behind the dish there. So Ben will be your battery mate for this opportunity.
Okay.
2 little activation drills and we'll get right into it. So we'll do very similar to what we did out there, and on the mound we'll just do our step back drill to kind of get the slope activated. So we're gonna step back, lift up, and just nice and easy throw it out through to Ben here.
Ooh. I understand why people that throw first pitches, they bounce them down. I'm glad no hitter's standing in there. Now, I'm not throwing hard enough to where if it hit them, it would probably not even make a mark, but I would say velocity-wise, it might be to 60, I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll use my IDAR for this next one. I'm gonna say at least 59.9 right there, so.
Would you take that deep?
Would I take it deep?
450?
Out of respect to you, I'd hit a single.
Really?
Yeah, just
Thank you.
from a respect standpoint.
Thank you. What about you, Ben?
Probably pop it up.
Now, how far do you think Jay Casey would have hit that pitch?
I think if we're still looking, it's probably still currently in the air. So I think my dad has used the one on me. There'd probably need to be a stewardess on that flight. We'll do one more drill here. All we're gonna do is we're gonna lift in place. We're gonna hold for a second, body control, balance, and we'll finish right out towards Ben. Count to like 1,000 in your head. Okay, there's a velo, it's starting to shine. Must have been those water bags.
I know exactly. Cade knows what he's doing, guys.
The water bags, they're coming into play.
Oh,
Ben with the catch of the day.
you know, I just wanted to test him out, see if he could catch that one. That was on purpose.
There it is. That is the
I
one.
think that's the first strike I've thrown all day. How about that?
Just in time.
Just in time.
Just in time, because the reason I say that is, it's now bottom of the ninth. It's the World Series.
Okay, game 7?
Game 7.
Okay.
The bases happen to be loaded, and the count is full. No pressure, take it away.
This is the moment I dreamed of in my backyard, guys.
and he throws an absolute seed to finish the day. I was worried it was gonna be Dane tried, but Dane does. So that's well
Dane
done.
does, Dane be doing it, whatever you want to call it. Cade McClure, Ben Rabatten, guys, I had a blast.
Appreciate it, thank you.